Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Louis Van Amstel Podcast with me, Louis Van Amstel. And I'm going to talk about 1993, but also 1992. I know I previously talked about 1992, but when I did, it was more talking about my most insecure moment, my most loneliest moment when I was in the middle of my dance career. I quit. I knew what I didn't want. I need to figure out what I did want to do. I let down my partner, my coach, the entire dance industry, said my career is over when if I were to go with that decision to quit. Well, I did. But I want to go more into what actually happened after that and all the way into 1993 because I never ever told anyone, or not at least you guys in the United States or even in Holland, not in the dance industry, that I dance with Katja Klepp. Who's Katja Klepp? Well, she is a wonderful dancer and an even better human being, but I will get to her and why I appreciate and respect her so much. So, just to reflect quickly, in April of 1992, while Julie Fryer, my dance partner, and I were third in the world at that time. So I have to say, we were third in the ranking, not yet at the World Championships, because that would have been later in 1992. When I quit, it was 1 week before the European Championships and 3 weeks before Blackpool, which is the biggest competition in our industry. And just give you perspective, at the World Championships, only the first two couples of each country, about 75 countries, participate. In Blackpool, the Open British Championships in the town Blackpool, anyone from any couple from any country can participate. So that means you could have 3 or 4 couples of the same country in the final. So that means a lot more couples and a lot more competition. So I quit in that April. Now I made that choice, and of course it made me feel very insecure. You can watch that episode. I'm talking about that. Now I'm going to talk about my factually what happened and then the psychology and the life lessons I learned. So a few weeks went by and my very close friend Rumjana de Haan and her father, who owned a dance studio. Rumjana grew up like me, doing all the dance forms. And I quit those dance forms to pursue ballroom dancing. Well, I guess I missed it so much. And I talked with her, she talked to her dad, and she was in the pre-program for the High School of the Arts in Amsterdam, which includes contemporary, jazz, classical ballet, singing, anything but ballroom dancing. And for some reason, I was drawn to that again. I missed that I quit it. And so her father talked to the director of the dance education, which is college level performing arts, downtown Amsterdam. And he and Rumjana got me an audition. Now I have to tell you, I really didn't finish school. And I'm going to talk about that also in the future. I quit at 15 and I went to England. And that was a big decision on my parents' part, but they allowed me to go. But I needed to finish that school in order for me to have a higher education. Well, when I did audition, I guess the director saw something in me, I guess, but I didn't know that until later. So when I went to that audition, downtown Amsterdam, put on my leggings, my real ballet outfit, which I hadn't worn in years, and I was nervous. And I questioned everything yet again. Did I make the right decision? Oh my gosh, I was in the final. Maybe a year, 2 more years, 3 more years, 4 before becoming world champion. I let go of that. And here I was doing audition for the High School of the Arts, meaning college level education. And I did what I could. And a few days go by. And I remember it still as if it was yesterday. My mom, by that time, had turned around from being angry with me, telling me, we put so much money into your dancing and da da da, and now you give up and all that investment. Well, as of today, we still discuss this. I didn't ask for it. They offered. They lived, I know and they know, they lived their dream through me. So if I want it, then fantastic, but I didn't want it, not in 1992. So anyway, my mom had come around and saw me happier. I was relieved, I was happy. So she and I went to the beach. And of course, that was the time that I got a notification I had to call the school. I was going to get the result if I made it or not. Oh my gosh, can you imagine how nervous I was? Well, I got the call and I got in. Which this is 32 years ago. And when I'm explaining this to you, going through it again, I'm reminiscing, I'm sharing this with you, I'm getting emotional yet again. Because it was, I made that decision only weeks ago to quit my dance career. And now a few weeks later, I'm getting somehow a confirmation that in my heart, you see, I made the right choice. So my mom, of course, now was excited for me because she could see the twinkle in my eye back. Well, end of August, I go and oh my gosh, was I in for finding out what real hard work was. I knew that dancing as a competitor was hard work, but now, 8 a.m., you're on that floor warming up for an hour, and then you do an hour and a half of contemporary. You got 10 minutes break, and then you go to jazz, and boom, then you have lunch break. Then you go into dance history, and then ballet in the afternoon, and then you are sore like crazy. And it took me 2 or 3 weeks, but oh my gosh, I was in my element. I loved every minute of it. I started feeling, instead of me feeling lived and pushed, going from country to country and doing all these competitions and the politics, and I was not into politics, and I felt like I didn't own my own life anymore. And here I was learning, exploring, and I was still dancing my heart out. So that happened probably end of August, all of September, all of October, and most of November. Now, it was November. Mid-November is always the Dutch Open Championships, which is a big ballroom dance competition. It's the biggest in Holland and one of the biggest in Europe. It's not bigger than the 3 main competitions in England, but it's the most fun and it has the best audience in the world. All the top couples love going to the Dutch Open. So I felt in such a good place that I was ready to just go and watch. And lo and behold, Julie, my partner, was now dancing with her new partner, Garbaka. And anyway, I was there and I was ready also. I was ready to take a lot of nasty questions or nasty looks. And actually, in reality, it wasn't that bad. Also, I didn't give many people the chance. I was happy as I can be. I was relieved. I was happy to be there. And my coach, Louis Van Amstel, was there as well. And I was also very apprised about his demeanor. Now, when I get him on my Zoom, on this podcast, and I'm going to convince him. I would like to talk about this from his perspective as a coach. But he was calm. And we were watching this comp together, and I think, and I believe, I don't know verbatim if he said it or not, but I got the feeling from him seeing me, that he said, you made the best choice that you could ever make. So 6 months prior, I felt the worst by making that decision, but I knew I had to do it, and something pushed my back to say, you need to do this for you. And of course, Marcella, which I told you in the other podcast, my first dance teacher, best friend, confidant, she was the one that supported me from the beginning. It was a big part why I was able to quit in April for me to research, explore what do I want in life and as a dancer. So we stood there and then out of the blue he says, you know what? It's been all well and great and you deciding that was probably the best thing you did for you, but it's time to come back. I did not expect him to say that part. It's time to come back. I thought, well, you made your choice, so you live with it. That's what I assumed he was thinking. And I guess he knows me well. He knows me from the age of 13. And this was when I was, I believe, 21, 22. So he knew me already by then for 8-9 years. And he could see in my eyes, oh, he can probably think, he's a psychologist, that man is so brilliant. He probably saw, wait, why would Louis be here if he wouldn't miss it? And he hit the nail on the head, because I think that is exactly, I didn't know that then, but now looking back, that was exactly the reason why I was there. I was confident, and I got into the college level dancing, performing arts education without high school diploma, and yet they made an exception because they saw something in me. Well, if that doesn't give one confidence, it is. And then of course 3 months of stretching, bending, turning, twisting in different forms of dance. I did it between the age of 10 and 15, but now I did it as an adult, and oh my gosh, did I learn so much. And you know, a year later, that came very handy in 1994. So, more about that later. So we stood there, and I just listened. I didn't give in. I didn't say yes right away. But I did say, well, I think I might be. I'm not sure. Well, he arranged very quickly that turned into a definite yes. Anyway. That man, I think, was on a mission because there was a couple dancing and he knew them, he worked with them. And her name is Katja Klep from Slovenia, Ljubljana, Slovenia. And they were dancing. And I'm not sure what their situation was, if they were already splitting up and this was their last comp. But he said, look at that girl. She is talented. And also, again, I think she thought she would be great for me because she was not really necessarily more of a competitor. She was more of an artist. And since I left the competitive scene for the contemporary scene and the contemporary arts, Ruth thought, well, that would be the perfect partner. So I'm going to cut that short. We did a tryout and it worked out well. We started dancing. So now we're talking 1992 December into 1993 January. And we start together and we are getting ready for Blackpool 1993. And we go in the comp and we go through the first round, second round, third round, fourth round, 96, last 48, last 24. And I thought, ooh, I'm back in the game. Not with Julie, but with Katja. And it felt good. I did somehow feel something and I couldn't put my finger on it. Then we made the semifinal. And I thought, great. One way, great, because I know clearly what the dance industry as a whole told me. Your career is over because you walked away without Julie, of course, but you walked away from the dance industry. Well, so I had that feeling like, but then again, we're in the semifinal. But then the flip side of that in my head was, yeah, but a year and a half prior, we were in the final. So, but that was with Julie Fryer. And we were in the World Championships final twice. We did the 10 Dance World Championships European final. And here I was with an unknown lady from Slovenia, Katja Klep, and we made the semifinal. We did not make the final. We were actually 7th, meaning the next couple into the final. And here is the psychology there. In that moment, when our number was not called out to the final, immediately I knew what it was earlier that day that I couldn't put my finger on it. I am competitive and I want to win. And this is the big message. I don't know why this makes me emotional. But it was a big aha moment. And I think this emotion is on behalf of so many people that get emotional because they follow their gut and then they have an aha moment that confirms that they did the right thing. I did the right thing by coming back. I did the right thing for dancing with Katja Klepp. Wonderful human, fantastic dancer. But I realized then and there, she is not competitive enough for me. But I didn't know that until we danced the Open British Blackpool Championships and I did not make the final. And that hurt. And it hurt because I realized then that I did want to be in that final. Going into that competition, going into dancing that partnership with Katja, I thought it was about dance. It was about the art of dance. And let me be very clear. I still am about dance and the art of dance. But I am also about that, winning. And so we go throughout the summer, we still dance, and then in the meantime, and I'm going to put Ruud Vermeij on the spot and ask him because he had a whole plan in his head that of course I wasn't part of, but now thinking, even right now I'm thinking, that man had a plan. So we're going through the summer and we're dancing, and I think Ruud already saw that I was not happy, but not one word was spoken about it. In the meantime, let's go back to the Dutch Open, November 1992. I was there while I was at the academy, and I saw Julie Fryer dance, my former partner, with another guy, and that partnership was not doing well at all. It is her story to tell, not mine, but it did not go well. But Ruud was working with Katja and I, and with Julie and Guy. So I guess he might have conversations with Julie and, hey, this is not going well, but hey, Louis back on the floor. Of course, Julie knew it because she was at Blackpool as well dancing. So I guess it was October of 1993, September maybe, where Ruud, so Julie had quit, and Katja and I were in the dance studio with Ruud, and we sat down because Ruud asked us to, and I guess, I don't even know how the conversation started, but here is where I will always respect Katja Klepp. The person she is. She could see that I was not happy in that partnership because of reasons I explained to you. She respected Julie and I. Apparently, we were her dance idols because we were different than everyone else. We were more the artistic couple on the floor, not your status quo technical couple. And she said, Louis, you need to dance with Julie. I am making the decision for you. For a human to do something like that, you must put your pride aside. You have to be so selfless to do that. Gosh, do I respect her. And by the way, in 2001 at the World Championship Showdance, she beat my ass and we were second. Ooh, that hurt. But I'm going to talk about that in a later podcast. But because I have so much respect for her, even though it hurt to become second at the World Championships, when you go in to win, and then the person years before that says you need to dance with Julie, who I had a fantastic career with, and then years later with her new partner, she beats my ass, which I say this with a smile on my face because, and they deserved it. But that's another podcast. So anyway, I also want to go back. This might be so confusing because I'm going back and forth. When I was at the academy, at the High School of the Arts, college level dance education, when I came back from the Dutch Open, I talked with the director. And to make a long story short, she said, Louis, you can go to any dance company once you finish this school. You can go to Broadway if you want to become a dancer on Broadway. You can do it all. You have the talent, and I can see that in 2 months. That's why I allowed you to come anyway, even though you didn't have your high school diploma yet. So, but then she said something. Louis, I know you were in the final of the World Championships and you walked away from it, but the career you can have in that world, both from a championship level, gold, silver medal, eventually maybe even the Olympic Games, but the money you can earn as a business. So the business point of view, she said, Louis, there is no other industry than the ballroom dance industry. So with her saying that, I feel the universe was sending me back onto the ballroom dance floor. So now it's the, Katja just said, you need to dance with Julie. Julie had split up with Geyer. So here we are a few days later, Julie and I in that same dance studio with Ruud, and we talked. Well, of course, we had to talk about the elephant in the room, what happened in 1992, April. I walked away, and he wanted to make sure that I was clear that I couldn't do that shit again, meaning quit again, because I already hurt Julie's feelings. And pretty much in ballroom dance, 2 people in partnership, one stops, it affects the other's career instantly. So, of course, Julie was maybe a little nervous, and I'm going to have her on my podcast, and I want to talk about her side and how the psychology of it, my decision, how did that affect hers? So, Ruud, and I did say it in the other podcast, made me sit on my knee and beg Julie to dance with me again. And she laughed. We all laughed. And she said yes. Now a whole new world starts yet again. And now it's 1993. And now the work started. Because now it's the end of October. And I know when I go into 1994, I will share the end of 1993. But what I haven't shared with you is that the rules in Holland are that you need to do 6 qualifying competitions before you can even participate at the national championships to qualify for the European and World Championship. So if we wanted to go back in the game, we needed to haul ass. Pardon my language. December 6th, I remember it, the first weekend in December, was the cutoff, was the 6th competition before the national championships. If we would not dance December 6th, we would not be able to do the national championships. And because of my history in 1992, they were not going to give us any clemency or any dispensation. No, we had to do it. So we had a month, because this was the end of October. So we had all of November, and then the first week of December, we had to put together 5 routines. And look, can we put together 5 routines? Yes. But a year and a half prior, we were in the World Championship level final, And we had worked on our routines for years or long months. And now we had 1 month to put 5 routines together. Luckily, it was a local competition in Holland. Anyway, we got ready and we danced. And I already shared this in the other podcast. But so the other couple that was second when we were first in 1990, 91, and 92. They were second and third. And of course, when we left, they were now first. Well, in that competition, you would think we would just take over. No, we lost all 5 dances. And the majority of the judges put us second. Some even dared. Sorry, that sounds arrogant. But if you know the level in Holland, and knew where we were, you wouldn't say that I was arrogant. Anyway, but some people dare to put us third. Anyway, look, I was in a place right now. In April of 92, I made the most insecure decision. Well, I made a decision that made me feel most insecure. And then you feel the whole world against you. And then I got into the academy. All in all, 1992 from April until June, I felt as low and insecure as possible. But then once I started doing the academy, I knew dance was going to be my life for the rest of my life. I knew that. In what form? The following months would reveal itself. But I had so much confidence from learning and feeling good that I became much better at ballet, contemporary, contraction release, and all the techniques. I started really learning. And then when I went to the competition in November, I felt so good about myself as a human, as an artist. And then later in 1993, not making that final really gave me the kick in the head to realize, you're not just about artistry, you're also about winning. And then by the end of 1993, we started back in the game. But the end of 1993 started with losing to a couple Julie and I never lost to in all 5 dances. But we were ready for the tsunami coming our way. And that was going to be 1994. So if you have not yet watched 1994, go see it. Thank you for listening.